Hello, hello. Welcome to session 3 of the Making Your Message Matter Bootcamp. This is where it kind of all comes together. I'm just going to pop this in presentation mode, so making sure that you can see that full screen. There we go, better click that. There we are. Just checking in that you can see me. I see people popping on. We had a bit of a up and down again with this system. So thank you for your patience and understanding. Sometimes it's really easy to think, okay, I'm going to put these trainings on and I want to make sure everything is absolutely perfect straight away, right? Like, oh, it absolutely has to be perfect. And I'll wait till I've got it all together before I start. And that can be great. And then it can also be just a blocker to getting your stuff out there. So if you can bear with me that sometimes these things aren't as perfect as I am really pulling this together based on a framework I've been working on for a few months, but I really wanted to bring it all together in the 3 sessions so that you can see how it all kind of aligns and how, you know, that getting noticed and getting seen element using the online attention activators as the first step is really, you know, it's something that's going to help align you with not only who you are, but innately who you are, but also with the changing nature of the online environment as well, and stop you from getting so demoralized about your perceived lack of success or not meeting expectations. And then aligning in, like we talked about in session 2, with the archetypes and how important those stories are for engaging your clients with emotion and instead of just rational logic, right? This is where, as smart women, excuse me, I don't know, I've got a frog in my throat. Excuse me. Hopefully, that will disappear. Yeah, this is where as smart women, we really shoot ourselves in the foot a lot of the time. And this is what I found in working with coaches over the last 10 years. You know, they come to me and they're really beating themselves up about their offers not selling. They're beating themselves up about the kind of clients that are coming to them. And, you know, they're really not feeling as fulfilled in their business. Either, you know, they're not getting the kind of clients that they want, or they're not feeling like they're enjoying delivering their offer because it's in response to what they perceive others want rather than what they really naturally want to do and what they value. So that's where that the last session of session 2 came in, with archetypes and really leveraging your natural strengths, talents and instincts, and how important that can be as well. And then today is really all about offers, and specifically utilizing that spotlight offer system to create a competition-free offer, okay? So you don't have to get concerned or overly worried about what the competition is doing, what other coaches are doing out there, what's the right thing to do based on, you know, what a mentor or coach has told you, or what courses you've done, or what you see other people doing that are getting them great results. What you're not seeing is the back end of what they're doing. What you're not seeing is their natural talent and instinct for what they do. What you're not seeing is how many fails they've had to get where they want to go. You're seeing perhaps the shiny result at the end of it. And you know, the truth is, I've worked with a lot of 6- and 7-figure coaches, and being a 6-figure coach myself and having been in this industry for a long time, I've seen behind the scenes in a lot of businesses. I've been to a lot of masterminds. I've had a lot of clients that I've helped with marketing and launch strategies, as well as business growth and business coaching, and having them as private clients or in my mastermind. And what I know for sure is that there is a common thread that is across, you know, female coaches in the transformation industry, in the healing, in, you know, in that basically personal transformation area, right? That, you know, growing your own business, having a big message to share and a mission, being on that mission to share it and come into a more widely understood industry now, but certainly not several years ago. It's perceived by normal people as quite risky, right? So, you know, the common threads that come behind the scenes are, you know, missed expectation that is basically placed on ourselves, and it's kind of like a little made up construct of an expectation. The other part is complexity, so much complexity and hard work in marketing, when it should be a whole lot more effortless and lucrative than it is. Now, I'm not buying into saying, you know, some of those empty marketing promises that are out there of like, hey, this is how I made millions and you can too, and I did it all in 12 months. And you know, that is not what I have seen in my experience, not in my own experience most certainly, but not in the experience I've seen even of multi-seven-figure entrepreneurs. So there are the unicorns out there, but let's not be comparing, you know, where we are based on a set of some outliers, right? Now, I don't want you to think, you know, true success can't happen. So I almost don't want to say that it's a unicorn thing, right? Because it's implying that, oh, well, don't get your hopes up. You know, all those things that we kind of, you know, a lot of those doctrines that we had growing up. I don't want to facilitate that, but I also want to be really you know, raw and real with you in this training, and I hope that you've got a sense of that, because you know, I'm seeing a lot more coaches missing the mark on where they want to be and really feeling you know, the weight of the world on their shoulders. Perhaps they've invested in some really high cost programs and are perceiving that they haven't got a result from it. Now, sometimes that is true. Like, I joined a $100,000 mastermind once, and really wasn't what I thought $100,000 mastermind would be. And I know one of my previous mentors, Kevin Nations, and we often weave in his concepts and what he shares. And what I love about him is he's utterly consistent. He's been sharing the same stuff even over since the 10 years ago I started working with him. And anyway, I love that consistency. It's something I haven't managed to have, but some of these concepts are tried and true. And even the ones I'm going to share with you today, it's not necessarily like it's revolutionary, right? But when all of these elements that we've covered in the 3 sessions come together, then that is where the revolution begins, right? And that's where you can honor yourself, and that you can make things simpler, rather than heaping on not only regret, missed expectations and disappointment in your business and yourself, but you know, not piling on more deliverables, more things to give clients, not reducing your prices and putting more things in your offers, right? Hopefully today you've already had something that you have sold, and you can keep this in mind as we go through this training. It is easier to make over something that people have already said yes to. So even if it's an offer that you haven't enjoyed delivering, it can be shaped or tweaked, okay? It's going to take a lot of overwhelm out of what you do. But fear not if you haven't. I do, you know, I definitely get people coming to me at the beginning of their journey, and I have the insight and the methodology to help you get there too, all right? So, but just be aware that, you know, getting your big idea out of nowhere, right? Despite the fact that I know you're immensely talented and knowledgeable and highly skilled and ambitious, you know, landing your big idea straight out of the gate is difficult. Landing that, you know, best-selling offer straight out of the gate, when you really don't have much of an idea of the direction that you want to go in, is, you know, a process, and it takes some time, and it might take some testing and tweaking and, you know, lab sessions. And that's why I firmly believe in having a coach and a mentoring program by your side, because you have a place to come to and do that. You know, I see this time and time again. There's not many coaches that will come to me with a perfect offer. Some do, and then they're very attached to how they want it to be delivered. that's my biggest frustration, right? So I want to have your permission that if you want to get even some coaching in this live session, or you know, come into the Facebook group, or decide to join the Spotlight Offer method when it opens. And by the way, you can get on the wait list for that and get the details first at victoriagibson.com/waitlist. I'll have that on a slide. But you know, besides that fact that you know, that you have all of those things inside you, the challenge for me is when I do see an idea that I know has legs, because I have been in this social media coaching landscape for such a long time. And like I said, the yesterday's session, I think in session 2, that doesn't guarantee anything, right? I'm not saying that because then I believe that that will mean that you will buy from me, because that even in itself, like I said, experience doesn't necessarily matter when you're sharing your offer. You're going to be listening in terms of where you are, what you're dealing with right now, and the immediate exit door out of that struggle or challenge or bugbear or annoyance or painful problem. Like it is a painful problem when you have a business that you dream of and you can feel it and you can touch it and you can see other people having it, but you haven't got it yet. That's a painful problem. And if you can have a way out of that, and you know, I'm nobody's savior. I used to sort of fall into a little bit of that with my hero archetype, right? I'm also in human design and manifester, and people naturally come to manifestors to solve their problems. And as manifestors, we love to solve them, including our own problems. I'm highly uncoachable, highly uncoachable. So if you're uncoachable, I get it. It's not going to make my world much more enjoyable, but I want you to approach this work with some, you know, an open heart, an open mind, an open heart, and a sense of yearning to understand that I've spent my thousands, 10,000, 100,000, I reckon it must be 100,000 hours on offer creation, on messaging. I have had women in my $25,000 mastermind programs and my $97 email activate program get coached on this, and we give them very specific advice, because I'm also my influential archetype, or the, you know, the signatures, my first and my secondary one, is romantic, right? So I'm about connection and intimacy, and I work best when I can, you know, have a nice boutique group where I share with you my ideas and you get that immediate feedback, and there's that care and response there. And yeah, sometimes, you know, systems, timings and tech aren't, you know, my forte, but I do care deeply about you getting out of this you know, this kind of struggle or this concern or this questioning. It's really important to me because I get such a buzz of seeing the other side of that, of seeing when it flows and when it works. And I'm just as excited as you are to get there, okay? And that doesn't mean I always know what to do with my own offers. And some of what I'm even creating this week is in response to how I feel about sharing it and what I think lands, and know that I've spent hours putting this together. This is just free gift for you, but it's an absolute gift for me because it allows me to express what I truly care about. And I know, and this isn't meant to be a big rant, we will get into some slides, but I love it when we just get moving and I can share these things. But I know that they're losing my train of thought, but I know that offer creation, when we do this work, when we have this down, that you don't have to worry about selling, that you don't have to worry about marketing being a burden, because you are going to be able to help people in the fastest, most effective and most meaningful way possible. That is a true expression of who you are at your core, okay? Now, does it take a little bit of learning and practice? Absolutely. Am I telling you do this and create a six-figure offer straight out the gate? Maybe, but probably not. But what you are going to do is release the pressure valve on that expectation and beating yourself up and disappointment, right? We're going to get rid of that because you're going to have a clear path forward. Before you dive into all the tactics, we're going to be sharing strategy. And a lot of this strategy has been going for a very long time, just like the archetype stuff has. You know, I was talking about even how that goes back to tarot times and the like. So none of what anyone's really going to share is that new, but you need to bring it together in a way that it feels distinctive, it feels fresh and exciting, because that's how our human brain is wired to pay attention. Okay, that's how you're going to get engagement. That's how you're also going to turn around the delivery of your offers. So it's one thing to create the messaging, because messaging and offers, I believe, is the answer to everything in business. And that is what will be the key to your success. But you know, we're not only talking about that front end of having the messaging right or the words right, and copy is so important. And it is, you know, time and time again, clients are like, oh my God, the way you just said that, I love it. And that's because I've spent more than 100,000 hours honing that craft. When I came to coaching, I was all about the corporate speak. I was definitely not about, you know, finding more of that kind of direct response element. And now I even want to weave more of, you know, that true sort of storytelling, expression, and branding in together with the power of direct response. Okay, so some of what I'm going to share with you today is grounded in direct response, but I also want to give you that nuance and hopefully add a bit more meaning about why the branding will work and how your offers will become competition free, because you will get cut straight to the heart of a need, a demand, and the right kind of client, and being in the right place to make that offer and get an agreement at the time. Okay, so there's nothing more exciting than that. So I was kind of mentioning the shift in the online landscape, but the principles of direct response will apply again and again. And I think, you know, I've always been a proponent of branding, absolutely, because I'm a marketer at heart. But I know that you know, you don't have to do as much branding, or you haven't had to when you're doing when you're online, right? Which is kind of cool. So you, of course, hopefully by now have already understood who I am. And, you know, I've been showing women how to get seen, heard, and well paid online since 2010 with high profit offers they love and messaging that feels like them to make online marketing work, or just make their marketing and communications work, and for you to feel a whole lot better with that as well. By the way, that's my Instagram handle. If you've got any messages you want to send or questions you want to ask me directly. That's totally fine. And if you stay on the line till the end, you're going to get my signature story workbook. That's going to help you map out, like now that you've got the archetypes as well. Whoops, I've got a bit of a typo there. This should say experience. Now that you've got your archetypes, and you can use that your brand archetypes to kind of set the direction and the tone for your expression, and clearly articulate more of your value there, then you might want to use the signature story workbook that I'll give you at the end to kind of map out a bit of your own kind of hero's journey, or those stories that you can share and weave in, because they make coaching way more powerful, right? As I'm sure you're aware, as being transformational leaders as well. So I want you to go from today, I want you to go from that being overlooked to fully booked, from being ignored to adored by your market, from being confused, overwhelmed, frustrated to confidently moving forward, from being resistant to doing it differently, or feeling just exhausted from changes that you have made that haven't worked, to being excited at finally unlocking some of the codes here, and from being low profit to being really, really high profit. That's one of the beautiful things about the online coaching industry. And I'm not here to do a rah-rah money making thing, because I care more about having a sustainable, lasting business that grows and gives you a lot of satisfaction to express who you really are. And I'm not trying to say that to be twee. The money is great, and you need to make those metrics work, because there's costs that come with running a business. There's costs in your time, your energy, your time away from family, and you know, the tools that you need to run your business, the marketing that you need to invest, maybe in profitable ad campaigns or in coaching or in mentoring. What I can tell you is I opened the door yesterday a little bit to what I used to do before I came into coaching, and I used to manage a shopping centre, a shopping mall, you know, big building full of shops basically, for a property owner, and I would manage that with the aim of, you know, ensuring that, you know, that multi-millions of dollars in profit happened, and was on track with all the elements, managed all the staff, liaised with retailers, stakeholders, owners, all that kind of stuff. And one of the things that I always relate back to, because I see now even more than ever, you know, women coming into the online coaching industry and going, well, hang on, this hasn't worked, and I've invested in this, and I've spent, you know, maybe $5,000 on this, or I've done that, and I haven't got a return yet. And, you know, I think back to managing the shopping centre, and when we'd have to get a new retailer open or a new store open. And, you know, I can tell you that they would have to spend the money on fit out, which is, you know, shelving and the display stands and the counters, and all of that. If it was a food store, they had to put in all the kitchen and exhaust and all this, like I said, stock, staff. Before they knew, they were definitely getting money back. Sure, they had a strategy that they were going to go where the traffic was, and that's kind of like what online is, right? You're going where the traffic is, but there's no guarantee that people are going to buy from you. And without you know, having some of these fundamentals about messaging and offer creation, they might not, right? And usually the answer lays within this, and some of the complexity that maybe you've woven in, or where you're missing, you've got a blind spot and you need a bit of help to illuminate that. And maybe you're missing some of the core things that we're going to go through today that you do need in your offer. And I would find that with the retailers that will come to me, you know, when their sales weren't hitting where they needed to be, when they were in financial distress, and maybe sometimes, you know, they're paying, I don't know, like $30,000, $50,000 a month in rent, yet they had all those other costs. We're so lucky to have a business that we can run ourselves if we want with just a VA. I just have a VA. I mean, obviously I have some other contractors like finance and, you know, blah, blah, the tools and all that kind of stuff. But essentially, this is me, myself, and I get to run this on my own terms. Sometimes that's a bit of a drainer, right? Because you go to the buck stops with you and you've got to do everything, right? It was kind of nice that when I had my own office in corporate and I had a team and I could get them to do things, all the minutiae, right? Like, that was great. But I didn't get the chance to earn what I earn, okay? Even though I'm, you know, a white privileged woman in an executive role, you know, that I left at like, I don't know, it must have been 38 or something when I left, 36, maybe. Oh gosh, I'm 48 now, but anyway, yeah, I think I must have been about 36, 37 when I left, right? And, you know, at that time I was on 150 grand, and I was kind of underpaid, right? But that might have been one of the reasons why I left too. And, you know, that was kind of going to be my ceiling for the foreseeable future while I was juggling small kids, and I couldn't relocate, or I couldn't give my all, and all those things that we all know about when we've had careers, and or whatever you have done in the past, has led you to here, has led you to making a change, has led you to risking it all and sharing that big dream and letting your love loose on the world, right? Letting your love in terms of your passionate purpose, right? What you deeply care about and who you deeply care about. And offer and messaging at everything. So when I did want to go back to that analogy of the retailers coming and saying, right, there's, you know, all this money, they're bleeding money, and they would kind of want a magic marketing thing, or say, can't you have a promotion, or can't, you know, what's the centre doing? We need more promotions. And it's like, there will be a fundamental mismatch when I go in your store at what your promise is and what the experience of that store is. Whether it's low stock levels, whether it's the wrong items, whether it's terrible service, whether you know, the layout of the store is wrong, whether the pricing is off. And not one of those things is the main reason, but there will be other elements. And naturally, we just want to look at someone else to kind of fix it. And that's what a lot of this kind of buying courses and getting the next tactic and getting the next idea is about. It's like we kind of think that must be what will fix it because we're so excited about what it is that we already do. Okay, but the difference is that when you get your offer and your messaging first and then your offer right, it does so much of the work in the selling for you. I can't tell you. It's kind of like its own sales-free selling system, and you get the bonus of also feeling a lot more aligned. You have a lot more of a straightforward approach to what you're doing as well, okay? So we covered in session 1 about getting noticed with online attention activators. We covered in session 2 getting heard with your brand archetype and how that dials in your messaging style. And then today we're talking competition-free offers. I just like to recap. I know I mentioned it before, but really this is about effortless marketing that works. And let's find the simplest path to your best offer. I'm a bit of an offer detective, a bit of a offer doctor. I think I have this domain too, marketing healer, right? That's kind of what I do. And offer and messaging is where I do it best. I don't do it as well for myself, I must say, because it is hard to see the label from inside the bottle. And that's the other part when you're trying to cobble together a whole lot of strategies and make them all work together. Once again, that can add more of a smoke screen to, you know, how you really need to be being seen. Actually, I borrowed that from a word one of my clients said to me the other day when we're talking about what it is she does. And she's very fixed on the therapy. She's a certified life coach with Life Coach School, and she's certified in rapid transformational therapy, which is a magic method of hypnosis from Marissa Peer. And you know, she's feeling like marketing's such a chore and so hard. And she really hated it because she just wanted to be coaching. She just wanted to be doing the sessions and creating the results because it's so cool. But this is the way that you get to do more of that. And without it, you won't be doing it. And you'll start to question whether you can do it, right? And so she was talking about the smoke screen that the brain puts up, or that no, actually the illness, because we worked on her messaging, and when she came to me, she had a weight loss program and she'd done hours in putting together this course, and she was seeing clients, and she wasn't having any problems converting sessions, but she was having problems getting people to sessions. And I could clearly see why, because she was just sort of saying, hey, here's my Lighten Up program about weight loss, and there's nothing wrong with that. And she was kind of choosing weight loss when really it wasn't really even something that she had as a pressing problem herself. Right, so there was a bit of that disconnect, a bit of what she thought she should be doing because that's what people were buying. And I would prefer to look at what had been working and make it over rather than starting completely from scratch. Okay, so that's what I want to, you know, I go through and sort of excavate what you do have or what you do know or what you are naturally good at. Finding that gift first, it's going to make it so much easier to weave that into your offer or create an offer around that, because you know, some of the work's already been done. But I want to also identify what hasn't worked with that. And as part of that, you know, we went through you know, this process really in terms of finding that offer, that offer, that can't say no offer. And we actually landed it in IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. And because that was a new angle that she was taking, it wasn't about weight loss, we had to, you know, her coaching could still solve that. It was something she cared more deeply about because she'd experienced it herself, and she'd actually cured herself from it, of it, using these, you know, mind management techniques. And she talks about IBS being a smoke screen for the root cause of what was going on. So when she was having a conversation with me about what, you know, how she got people from the depth of IBS symptoms, the pain, the isolation, the despair, the worry about going out of the home and being near a toilet because of unexpected diarrhea, bloating, cramps, having to follow a FODMAP diet, which is very restrictive. My mum's got IBS, but I'm quite sure that is high anxiety in her mind as well. But anyway, that's another story. She can't have onion and garlic, and eating out with her is a pain. So I have seen that obsession firsthand when people get IBS and they get very obsessed about it. And I actually had another client who was a dietitian who worked with IBS sufferers also. So I feel like I've got a window into IBS and have a lot more understanding than I ever did before. And when you have that for your client, and you can express their pain and problems in that way, in that knowing and understanding, that will shortcut the trust, that will shortcut the connection and that immediate yes, and having an offer that sells itself, right? But anyway, she talked about the smoke screen and IBS being the smoke screen for the root cause. And, you know, I loved that term. So when she was speaking to me about it, it was like, oh yeah, great, yeah, that's where the gold is. So I still want it to reflect what you think or what your words are, but I will be able to kind of guide you on where to put that and where it works. But you know, if you read her offers, they definitely didn't read like that at all. So it's just a matter of sometimes having another eye on it. Or also, Kevin Nations talked to me about the magician and the mule concept, and I'm sure it's a parable, right? So he didn't make it up, but once again, no one really comes up with anything 100% new. They like us all, we see things, and I'm relaying this experience because he taught me this experience and it made it easy for me to understand. And I definitely slip into mule territory, but you know, would you, in your business, would you rather be the magician or the mule? Now, this is kind of a bit archetypal too, right? But magician is kind of the alchemist, creating that change and that transformation, that deep transformation, but in the easiest, fastest way possible, making it effortless. And giving that insight and understanding and empowering your clients so they can do that too, right? They can create that transformation and empowering them to do that. Or you can choose to be the mule who holds on tightly to your concepts and ideas and has rigidity about how it should be expressed, and how you need to do everything for your clients, and that maybe they're not capable of doing it themselves. Our role as coaches is to create that environment that they can transform and empower them to transform without doing it all for them, because we kind of compromise the lasting results of that transformation if we do, and we also make our business a lot harder than it needs to be. So that kind of gets to the next point. Stop making your offers so hard to sell. Why do we do this? Why do we do this? I talked about this a little bit in those messaging mistakes. We do this because you know, we're holding on tightly to the modality therapy coaching process that we like. So we're holding on very much to how we deliver a result, you know, in terms of what's included, or the therapy, how that works and how that needs to be communicated. Or you're afraid that you're not offering enough value, so you want to add more complexity, add more stuff, and in turn you are overwhelming your clients and they won't stay with you, they won't come back. And I'm being guilty of this too. And one of the reasons I've created Spotlight Offer System, and I love my Coach Co program, and I have had you know, nearly 100 women through that program. So people that have said yes to it, absolutely. And there have been ones who are like, oh my God, this is everything I needed. The ones who wanted a lot of stuff and step by step, and they were ready for that. But there are also a lot who like felt a little bit well, they definitely felt overwhelmed, that there was a lot of that structure and step by step, which I thought would alleviate a lot of their stress. Like, here you are, this is what I wish I had at the beginning. Everything you need is here. But they're like, oh gosh, well, I'm just still trying to get my head around like my quick win of understanding, getting clarity around who my audience is. There I am. And then you can do this retargeting ad, and then you can do that. And it's like, whoa, 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 right? And there are other people who are like, yes, give that all to me. They're mainly the rulers, right? Rulers loved it. Because in truth, it was creating an offer for rulers, because I was trying to make up for a lack of belief in my magician elements. So I created a program that was really quite mule like. It wasn't in terms of my delivery. I stood by that part, which was I could do it in an hour a week once I created the course. But the weight of making sure that people could get what they need, and seeing that it was more difficult for them in some instances, or finding who was the best person that it was for. And I still, sell Coach Code, but I feel like there was an element missing because I thought that people didn't want to know more about offers and messaging, and that they just wanted to understand how to get everything out there and moving. So I talk offers and messaging in Coach Code, it's not that I don't, but this is its own beast, right? And even just talking messaging and offers, they could be separate courses. So where are you perhaps having a scope that's too broad? I do that time and time again because I get so excited about what people need to know, and you might do that too. But that's why I love my magic method concept too, which is about finding your unique process for taking people from the hell they're in now to the heaven that they seek, okay? And expressing it in a way that gives them relief, understanding, assurity, and affinity that this will be the right step for them. And it doesn't need to have multi-layers of funnels. You don't have to do all these live session series if you don't want to either. And in fact is, you can actually just do this in email. You can do this in social media posts. You can do this in your group. When you have clarity on your messaging and your offer, when you have the words and ideas, and I share templates and actionable emails that help you do this, but I also give you that real-time feedback and coaching and discovery of your message that's aligned to your archetype, that's aligned to what the market want and are prepared to pay for, and help you express it in a way that they can clearly understand it, okay? And yes, we get the metrics right with pricing too. I don't want to be dogmatic about what you can and can't charge. I generally lean towards the higher ticket pricing, offers above kind of 2,000 to 3,000, because the reason why is I believe you have more space to create great transformation when you don't need to rely on huge volume, and you can also free yourself from needing as much marketing because you need fewer clients to get the yeses. If you have been doing that model but finding that you're getting fewer and fewer yeses, then you need to still get the messaging and offer right to get those yeses back again, right? It's likely that you have started believing some of your own doubts or fears and adding layers of complexity into your offer, or keeping with outdated ways of offering things that the market's just kind of moved away from. And some of that is just saying yes to a $10,000 or a $20,000 offer on the spot. I've definitely seen that shift. I used to wonder if that was just a limiting belief, right? But it's not, because the trust has plummeted out there, right? And there's a lot of choice and a lot of overwhelm and a lot of fear and a lot of lack of trust. So going from, how I used to sell my $25,000 mastermind to complete strangers on the internet with one phone call, an ad, a webinar, a phone call, and look, that's still possible in certain categories too, by the way. My client Carly does that with a $15,000 offer. And so it is possible, but in my category, it's not anymore. Everyone's teaching the same kind of stuff, right? And everyone knows that they can use paid traffic on Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, Google, all of which I love. But if we don't have the messaging and offers right, like, that is going to hold you back. Because the one thing I know in helping clients run their ad campaigns and making them profitable, and that's my other ninja talent, is, although I'm not going to teach you that in the Spotlight offer system, right? Like, I might add a couple of bonuses there, and if you want to ask me about it, that's fine. That's not the core intention, because I want you to have the foundation, because you can easily do whatever you want with ads later. I mean, I have a $47 ad program that you can go buy, and it's got all my training, okay, for ads. If that's your jam, go get it. victoriagibson.com/traffic jumpstart. Go buy it. You don't get any coaching time with me, but it's still great. Still got everything you need. But regardless, what I did understand is when I'm, in working with hundreds of clients, and with ads, I've run ads for Lewis Howes, for Dr. Sari Gottfried, for Hibiscus Moon, who's a very well-known crystal healing certification leader, coach, whatever you would call it. I've run them for Marie Forleo, for Danielle Laporte, for Leonie Dawson, for Denise Duffield-Thomas. The list goes on and on. I taught Facebook ads for the likes of Murray Smith and Amy Porterfield in their courses and programs. And in fact, they came to me, many years ago when I started offering that. And look, I was in Marie's mastermind with Amy, and she was like my accountability buddy. So we definitely could help each other out there, which was awesome. But, back in the day, it was more linear, and you could just start doing ads and you're going to make a big difference. But now everyone's kind of jumping on that bandwagon, and the ads that I see just break my heart now, quite frankly, in my feed. Where people haven't got their offers and messaging dialed in. They're still hanging on to that. No, I saw another typo on that slide, by the way. They're still hanging on to that belief of what used to work, that yes, you could do run an ad and get on a call with a complete stranger, and they would say yes to a $25,000 offer. I didn't believe that was possible when I first started, but I did that in 2013 to about 2016, 2017, even that price point, and having oh, hello, my love, Laura, I see you came on. I'm so sorry. I've been having a million tech snafus. So nice to see you here, my darling. The recording will always be in here as well. And I also, because I haven't been able to have camera on this webcast, I put video of me if you prefer to just watch a face rather than boring slides. And some of you may prefer audio too, so I'm going to strip out the audio when I get to it, my loves, when I get to it, but definitely over the next few days, because we are only going to have these replays up for a limited time, and I'm going to have an invitation there for you to join me to go deeper. But in between, I like to have a few little extra pop-up trainings too. As I move through the training, I realize, yeah, maybe I want to teach this, or I get inspired to teach some other things. So make sure you do, I'll let you know that at the end, actually, what to do about that, rather than going off on a tangent. But yes, now, obviously, I had got myself distracted and forgot what my train of thought there. But anyway, oh yes, that it was easy to sell, from call to high ticket sale. So now I do believe you want an easier yes offer, maybe an entry-level offer in the beginning, or just to test. Like, I'm not a proponent of you having a million offers. Maximum kind of 2 coaching offers is great. I've had clients come to me with 87 online courses. I kid you not, 87. So some people, like, they're rulers. They love to have all their Sage teachers, right? The teacher advisor thing, and they love to create learning, and they don't let tech get in the way. I mean, if you can create 82 online courses, I mean, this is what I said to Karen when she was working with me. I'm like, you can do anything. At that time, I think that was my biggest bugbear, creating courses. I was like, it wasn't the tech, it was just, it's so tedious. I'm like so much more like a visionary, someone who just wants to go, right, let's go. I've got that idea. Off you go. Here's the idea. Let's go, right? Rather than all the tedium of putting it all together. But I had to surrender to it because it is about leverage, right? And every time I do it, I go, why am I doing this? This is killing me. And once I've done it, I'm like, oh, that's so good, that's done. But regardless, anyway, 82 online courses. And even with her, it's like, yeah, that's an offer problem, right? Because she had that many cheap online courses, and I think they're actually adding up to about $15,000 a month on Udemy, right? So that's nothing to be sneezed at. But she's like, I want to know what I'm actually doing, like what I want to hang my hat on something. I don't want to just create all these courses, and yes, people are buying them, but I'm selling them for like 20 bucks. No. And what I was saying to one of my clients the other day, one of my private clients, I was like, she said, oh, I just think if I price it, this will be easier to sell. And I hear that time and time again. I'm like, let me tell you something, because I created that ads course just a couple of months ago. It's $47. It's like an absolute bargain, right? It's like a decade worth of Facebook ads training and what I know works now and running millions of dollars of ad spend. And I'm flying off the shelf, let me tell you, because it's more just how-to information. I'm not really bridging the gap of overwhelm of how people want to get out there and get seen and get clients. That feels like another task to do. Yet I was listening to people tell me all the time, I just want to know how to do ads. Oh, how can I do ads? And I was believing them. They don't want to know how to do ads because that seems to be another painful problem they're going to add to their list. If you want to learn how to do it, fine, I'll definitely teach you. See, I love ads, but most people don't, right? Yet they see that I have it and they think that they should be doing it, so then they ask me for it, and then when I give them something it's just like practically a gift. I guarantee I could give that away for free and people probably wouldn't opt in for it. So don't worry, here I am, you know, over a decade in, still believing the lies my brain tells me, right? But this training is actually inspired by me. I sat down and I went, hang on, I want to problem solve here why offers aren't working, why messaging isn't, why you're not getting seen, heard or noticed, and why when clients come to me and some have ads that are like dirt cheap and others are just falling on their face, right? Why is that? And I wanted to excavate that. And I'm not like the big, you know, kind of explorer, like get into all the detail, but I am an excited observer and looking in marketing and how it works and how it's at play. And this offer is totally inspired by that because I'm going to help you dial in that messaging and offer and give you a bridge to that. And that is what is going to move the needle for you because it will do the selling for you. It's the secret of competition-free selling, okay? So we're making our offers hard. How are we doing that? Well, like I said, we're trying to outrun that negativity or fear or believing what someone else has told us is true, right? Always question everything. Or we're sitting in such a place of overwhelm and exhaustion that it's like the thought of doing something more when things haven't worked or the marketing hasn't worked. We feel like, marketing is the problem. But branding and messaging and offers are the answer, right? Marketing is still marketing. And yes, there's sales in that, but I don't want you to have to go out and do the convincing and the hard sell where, you know, you might get people on a call and then they're all excited and then they're like, oh, no, actually I've got to go think about it, or they don't show up for the call, or all those kind of things, right? That happens a lot more for sure. I used to think that was a limiting belief too, but it's definitely true. Because once again, we're asking people, we're giving something that we think is so valuable, but that doesn't feel valuable to them. Because why doesn't getting on a call feel valuable? Although I offer everyone the chance to get on a call. So if you want to get on one, but I know you probably won't because most people don't value it because they see it, they think you're going to sell them something. They think they're going to have to say no, it's going to be uncomfortable, or they feel really bad for taking up your time when they don't have the money to invest. Or they've decided that they don't, or what's the other thing? Or it takes time out of their day, like they're busy and they're like, oh, I don't really want to get on a call. Okay, so that's an example of what used to work, and it doesn't work so well. But I mean, I love doing it still because I find it's the quickest way to cut to where you are, because I like giving customization and creating a relationship and connection. To me, that's the excitement of business. And I truly love getting on those calls. So, you know, go to victoriagibson.com/apply and we can see what you've got going on. And in half an hour, we can kind of brainstorm more about, you know, resurrecting your message or your offer or creating that from scratch as well, and the steps that it takes. And anyway, that's why we're often thinking about it in terms of what we deem to be valuable, what we know is the answer, but our perfect prospects haven't gone on that journey yet. They don't know, or you know, stuck so many things in, like I did with Coach Coke. And I used to teach in my Message to Market program, do not put everything in the kitchen sink in your offers. I'm like the cobbler with his shoes. Holes in my shoes, people. But you know, I did that was one of my training videos, and then I did it in 2020. I spent hours creating this offer, and I still love it, and I think it's great. But I think it's great for probably me at my evolution, not necessarily for those who are feeling a bit stuck and overwhelmed with their messaging and offer. Although some,
plenty of people waxed lyrical about it, and someone did even in the Facebook group, Cherie, who had been in it. She's like, oh my God, it saved me, it's brilliant. And, you know, just tweaking, she had written this, speaking of that, she'd written a whole book like this, well, she said it was her booklet, her PDF. She'd already created that when she came into Coach Co actually. So I said, what have you already got? What can we already get out there for you to start generating leads? And what I love about a lead magnet, by the way, is the best way to test your messaging. And without building a whole course, without building a whole training, lead magnet's going to tell you straight away, which is super cool. And they're so easy to create. I've got a whole training on that one too, $97. Email Activate. Anyway, what was I going to say about that? Oh, I forgot. I get all super excited about that, and then I forget what on earth I was talking about. It's session 3. I've been creating these sessions for you and delivering them twice each day. So forgive me if my brain synapses aren't quite firing at the normal level they should. But anyway, I've forgotten that point, but it was a good one. We're thinking what we know and what people should have, right? Instead of coming back into what's the problem. Because anyone like that I thought that I'm addressing with, say, Traffic Jumpstart and ads, or my webinar success secrets, where I'm going, here's how to do a webinar, here's how to do ads, here's how to do emails. And all of these things are important, but without the messaging and offer, or without that touch point of me and getting that feedback and advice, you know, it feels like extra work that you got to kind of do solo, and it just feels like a chore and something you can push to the end of your to-do list, right? That to-do list that never ever reaches the end. So what I love about Spotlight Offer System, and in creating that, like I've taught offer creation, like I said, for nearly a decade, but I love this nuance. I love adding the branding with archetypes element. I love adding that social media success element, like that landscape, and really meeting where the market is now. And also taking the tried and true principles of direct response, but really adding a modern flair to them. A lot of psychological principles are woven into the messaging, you know, messaging styles, but also offer creation too, that can't be escaped. And often we want to kind of escape it because it can feel like we're being maybe manipulative or spammy. And a point I wanted to make before about some people do come to me with a message to market that I'm like, oh, that idea is brilliant. I know it's going to work, because I've had clients that, you know, have done something neither. I know that's a missed opportunity. If you're ever going to teach on narcissist mothers, do it. Right. I've looked fully into that. If I had the time, the capacity, and the knowledge of how to overcome that, I would do that myself, right? There are some promises and big ideas that I know I can tell you straight away, that's going to work. There are others that people come to me with, and I'm kind of like, yeah, we need to synthesize that a little bit. So if I have your permission to get real with you when we're coaching on things like that, that would be great, because I know I'm going to show you an example later, and this woman, like, she would barely speak to me at the end of it. She just thought I was like terrible, because I was saying, you just can't have this offer. It will not sell. I guarantee it will not sell. I don't want you to go through the cost, the stress, and everything to just have it like fall down. And she was feeling that, or hearing that, as my life's work is nothing, and it's not. It's like, we can probably break that down into, you know, 5 courses, and that was exactly what I said, and we'll get to that in a minute. But I am a bit of a straight shooter, so forgive me. And sometimes my people pleasing gets the better of me, and I try and like help you work through those things you're really holding on to tightly, because I want to please you and I want you to be happy. But at the end of the day, you're going to be really unhappy if your offers and your messaging don't work. So forgive me if at times you want to resist, you want to throw things at your screen. I understand it. I'm like that too, because like I said, I'm highly uncoachable a lot of the time. Anyway, a lot of the work here, I'm not going to go into, you know, your client avatar or your client persona, your buyer persona, all of that. It's well worn. Like, people even tell it, you know, teaching that all the time, like it's some new thing. I think everybody understands this, that you need a client avatar, a client persona. You need to know your ideal client, right? Yes, we get it. But you do need to understand more about where they're at and where they want to go, right? Yes, you want to kind of paint a profile of your client, and understand that, even based, if you can, on a client that you really love, or an amalgamation of ones that you've loved and that have got the transformation and that you would happily ask the universe for more of, right? Understand that and have that clear. Even I like to skip over that, because I assume that I already know that. And then I think, oh, hang on a minute.
I talk, even with my Coach Code marketing, I was probably talking a little bit too much to newbies for the depth of that program. So then there was that sort of, yes, it was easy to get the yeses because I know the art of offer creation. I know the art of communicating my messaging powerfully. And it wasn't that I was being disingenuous. It was just that I was using a lot of the messaging for someone at a different stage of business that would get as much benefit out of that as someone who was a bit further along and could really appreciate the value of it, right? So I can see that in clients or people who come on sessions with me and ask about their offers. I can see where they might be going wrong with that. So it is important to really define that client and be thinking about, you know, even I've had a lot of career coaches that I've worked with over time, and actually their results vary wildly too. It's so interesting with just a bit of nuance. You can get those career coaches, like I've gone to masterminds and met career coaches making millions. And then I've had career coaches come and say, you know, they want to help women or, you know, job seekers, whatever it might be. And we know that there are always a lot of people out there wanting to move careers or find a new job. So why wouldn't the ads work? Why wouldn't their message work? Why were their offers falling flat? It's because they didn't understand their client and where their client was at and find a method to moving them ahead and moving them to that promised land and understanding what that promised land was for them rather than what they knew it to be from a deep knowing of being that coach, expert, mentor, guide, healer, therapist. Okay, so you know, one that comes to mind is even Jane Benston, a client of mine from quite some time ago. But when she came, we did a VIP day actually in person because she lives in Melbourne here in Australia, and we sat down and she's like, right, I'm a certified life coach. I've worked in executive roles. I am an executive facilitator. I've got all this stuff to share and I'm brilliant. And I get some seminars to teach through corporates, but you know, it's not consistent enough. People aren't finding me. I'm not being easily discovered, and you know, it's frustrating. So I need to book more of these corporate facilitation things. And I'm like, hang on a minute, hang on, let's go back a bit. Tell me about what you really want to do. Tell me about your story. Why did you leave your career? Who do you most want to help? Who do you most want to care about? And when it came down to it, it was more of the women in executive roles, middle management, who were feeling squashed, unheard, unmotivated, lost, and quite frankly, quite desperate. Desperate because every day they had to wake up and go to a job they couldn't stand, and they weren't living on purpose. They weren't living what they wanted to do, but they didn't really know what it was they wanted to do. And in fact, by excavating where they were and that gap, Jane and I were actually able to kind of map out that it wasn't necessary, the answer wasn't necessarily them leaving their job, although that's what they were thinking at the time, right? Like they just want to press the escape hatch. The answer was being more confident in the job that they were doing to manage up and to uncover opportunities within where they already were. And if there wasn't that opportunity, once it's clearly defined alongside with Jane, then they could go somewhere else. But they'd feel great about that because they'd be very clear on what they were doing rather than just leave a job and everyone goes, are you crazy? Like I did. I didn't actually know what I wanted. I knew I wanted to do something. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I was out in my Elizabeth Gilbert boutique India travel days, right? People are like, what? Did you leave a, you know, 150 grand a year job to go, this is like in 2010, to go like to India, like having this India travel business? Like, what nuttiness are you on, right? Everyone was like freaking out. I was freaking out deeply inside. And then so what did I do? I spent $20,000 on Marie Forleo's mastermind going, okay, this is the answer. I see her life. I want that. That's what I want. That's what I want. It wasn't boutique India travel. It's this. So I'm so glad I did, right? That 20 grand. I ended up making that back in like 10 weeks. And that wasn't because Marie gave me a step-by-step strategy. It was just like asking those questions, trying to get on that path and understanding where I wanted to be. She knew that she could assemble women who wanted more and wanted something different and didn't want the regular career and all that sort of stuff. We're the crazy ones. And I love being around women like that. That just lights me up all day long. It doesn't mean we don't have fears, but we do like to kind of, you know, have a bit of folly here and there, or perceived folly that can actually be super, super smart. I mean, you know, so many of my friends who make multi-seven figures being a coach in the online coaching industry, right? Not me, but them. I do multi-six, but they do multi-seven, and I sit there going, oh. But, you know, I remember I knew many of them when they were making a few $100s a month, right? So I have witnessed what's possible. I've witnessed it for myself. I remember my big goal was to make $5,000 a month. Yet, you know, gosh, I wouldn't be able to live on that. Wouldn't be able to choose all my romantic archetype desires and luxury. But regardless, I've seen it. I know this works, but even when, you know, friends of mine who get to multi-seven figures would tell me like what they believed was going to happen, I'd be like, okay, yeah, sure thing. Even I was doubting it at times, right? Maybe that's why they got there so quickly. Absolutely, right? But even, you know, in those layers of complexity and having your courses and stuff, without that offer and messaging, that is what I wanted to finish off that point before, where the woman with 82, Karen with 82 courses, then we went, okay, you can have 2 offers, right? Because I understand you have a couple of markets, so understanding your client deeply. She had one market that were other therapists, and then she had one market that was you know, the people who needed her own distinctive brand of therapy. She also had all these other certifications and, oh my goodness, so many things. Alchemist can be like that, right? Many courses, many offers. And anyway, in inviting her to understand the clients and the distinction, and there wasn't a one size fits all for both of those segments, we were able to take to create 2 steps of offers, okay, and that worked really well. She was able to get, you know, $5,000 offers in a week. Keep in mind, she'd done a lot of testing before having 82 offers. So if you haven't had any paying clients or you haven't had an offer yet, you know, that may not be as realistic, but we'll definitely going to get you that offer clarity, okay? Your offer must relate to a proven kind of metric, right? Like, it sounds very boring when we're in coaching and we're in developing, where we want to talk about self-love and we want to talk about, you know, our shadow side, or our inner child, or what else? I don't know. You know, the things that we talk about. I love them. I'm into them. But when we're wanting to get an offer that can be easily understood and an offer that can easily be sold and competition free, then it needs to relate to a success metric that is built on that gap of where they are to where they want to go, right? We have to clearly understand that and talk into that. We're not always talking promised land, and we're not always trying to manipulate with the painful problem and the pain and all the symptoms, okay? We want to talk about what could change in terms of success metrics. Now, that ex-mentor of mine, well, I'm still going to his programs, Kevin Nations, talks about faith, family, finances. Now, what's the other one? He's got 4. Now, they're not specific, like really specific metrics, but they're sort of more his guiding kind of principles: faith, family, finances. Oh gosh, there's another one in there. Can't remember it. Fitness, that's it. Fitness, right? So now that's kind of broad. I'm saying just have one that you can kind of promise, that you don't have to write that in your copy, but that's kind of the yardstick of their transformation. You know, common ones are weight loss, money made, confidence won, power transferred. Even confidence is hard, because my Spotlight offer system is a lot about confidence, having that confidence in, you know, your coaching and getting it out there, showing up, getting attention, and converting that into more sales and a business that thrives, right? It really is. I believe that key metric is 100% confidence, right? But that is even a little bit less firm than I want. Okay, so weight loss, money made, power transferred, all those kind of things, relationships gained, all those kind of areas are definitely where you want to focus, so that you have a metric. All right. And I want to invite you to stop clinging on to your way, right? I know you have learnt, you know, amazing things on this journey. Or I know you have big desires and big goals, and you would not be here if you haven't been successful in your life. So I get it. okay? But we need to sort of step back and work out what is going to be the best way to explain and communicate that in a way that people can say yes. So what I see a lot is, you know, that explaining the treatment, the approach, how many sessions you do, you know, that it's hypnotherapy. But no, it's not just hypnotherapy, it's RTT. And in my RTT, it's like, well, no one, that your clients don't know what RTT is. Or, you know, we talk about life coaching. Well, maybe our clients don't know what life coaching is. You know, or Reiki, or, you know, even things like tarot and stuff like that can be really out there for a lot of people. So knowing your audience is super important so that you can judge what level you're at there, but also not going into the theory. So I touched on that yesterday with when I talked about my client, Dr. Carly. She's a private client of mine who makes 6 figures a week, sharing her spinal flow technique, which is a method of healing, right? Healing the body, healing others. And she has a practitioner program. And when she first came to me a couple of years ago, she's just like, can you run my ads? And I'm like, oh, sure. Okay, well, because you're a friend. At that time, I wasn't running anyone's ads anymore. I said, enough of that. I want to create my Coach Co program and really give everyone everything they need to run their own ads, right? And anyway, I did it as a favor because she was a client of a friend of mine, and that was fine. I was like, yeah, okay, show me what you've got. Where are we going to be sending this traffic? And she showed me the page, and I was like, no, we shall not be doing it to that page. And my friend had actually created the funnel, right? But she always says, can you just look at the copy? Can you look at the messaging? She's amazing at creating funnels and so good at it, but copy is not her strong point. And I said, no, how about we move it to this, like what you're really promising here, what they're really going to get when they do this program, or what they're really moving away from, and let's have that embedded in that promise. And a webinar title or a lead magnet is a great way to test this, by the way, like I said. So I was looking for the example, but I might dig it up and add it to the slides later. I'll definitely put it within the Spotlight offer system, but because I wanted to show you the exact words. I wish I'd had the original one. She had to. It was terrible. But anyway, but going to, you know, discovering and, you know, how to get a waitlisted practice using a technique that, you know, doesn't exhaust your body, and that clients, you know, get lasting results from pain. Oh God, I need the thing here to say it verbatim. It was a lot more compelling. But basically, when thinking of the clients, there's a client out there that is a hands-on massage therapist or body worker who is currently charging, you know, what, $70 a session for a massage session, and doing like, what, 6 of them a day, and feeling exhausted and overwhelmed and kind of like, you know, trapped. Who could then be taking on spinal flow technique as a practitioner and charging, you know, for a package, or, you know, maybe, I don't know what they actually charge the practitioners. They can decide that, I think, but a lot more than one-off massage sessions, and they can make those sessions like half an hour or 15 minutes, and they can see a lot more patients on their own terms and get much better lasting results. That's what spinal flow technique is, not, as Carly would love to share, the 7 gateways, spinal gateways, and, you know, the blocks and the areas and all of that. You get her talking about that. I tell you what, she wants to share that all day long, and it is amazing and it's great, but that's not what's going to get people saying yes to a $15,000 certification, okay? So that's where a lot of people go wrong as well, sharing a lot of that technique. So please don't do that. Whoops, went the wrong way. Here's the other one. This is the client that really doesn't like me at all. But anyway, I wanted to show it because it's such a great example of it where it immediately came to mind. She came to me and she had spent many hours working out what she was going to share online. She was a lawyer, and working out what she didn't want to practice law anymore. And she was like, but she still cared deeply about law, and being a lawyer and sharing that was all very important to her. But anyway, so this is where, when you're left to your own devices, You're going to create so much more work for yourself, so much more complexity, and then still end up with no clients, right? Or they not meet your expectations, right? There's definitely people who come to me who've got lots of clients, but they're just wanting to have that tweak and that change, and they're already at, you know, 6 figures, and or they have been before, but maybe it's dropped back and they want to get back up to 6, 7 figures, okay? But this is where, left to your own devices, you can really put a wedge in that. And that is, yeah, having something like this where she's like, well, you know, she'd learnt a lot about the spiritual elements, so she was bringing more of that alchemist. So she's got her divorce attorney rule of side, and then competing with this alchemist side, and they're not exactly, you know, immedately compatible or combinable, right? And that was what we kind of wanted to get to. And I definitely had a way to help her do that, but you know, she was getting quite frustrated with me, which I totally understand. But Divorce Holistically Yours as a book, and you should see how many pages are in this book. I just can't even begin to tell you, like every single step in the legal process, but spoken like a ruler. And then the other part, this is like the biggest book you've ever seen, was about being a catalyst for your soul's evolution. Well, what does that mean for a start? How divorce can be a catalyst for your soul's evolution. So picture, like when we got down to ideal client, it was a woman who is getting divorced. Whether she didn't seem to worry too much if it was the woman's choosing or the man's, but I do think that matters as well about that client, like a divorced woman, a woman that you've got those nuances with the client. Like, are they thinking about getting divorced and in struggle about that? Are they in the throes of just having done it and in the shock of that? Or are they in their after effects of rebuilding a new life, or still in the struggle of knee deep in court battles and drama and trying to get the kids adjusted and all of that? Like, they're very different clients. It's like, no, well, you know, this approach works for everyone, and then they can avoid going to court and all of that sort of stuff. And, you know, that it can be, we still had to do a lot more in working out this catalyst for the soul's evolution, because like I said, there's all this stuff to unpack. How do we make this utterly compelling? Well, the divorce side, or you know, understanding the legal process and empowering you through that way, well, that's, you know, you can see how that could be really powerful when not said like that, right? Something like how to peacefully end a marriage without legal drama and hostilities, right? Oh, well, then you see the pain is still embedded in the promise. So I'm not having to manipulate anyone, but it's so much more powerful when we weave in what they want to avoid or what's happening to them right now. So please don't create any titles like this, and please definitely don't spend like years writing a book like this, okay? Because it's not going to do anything for you. And then you're going to want to blame the marketing, you're going to want to blame coaches because it's not working, right? Because you want to hang on to this. You need to be open, and I'm not saying you guys have it, but I want to show you a real life example, because it's common that there's a lot of stuff here, and they feel really, you know, kind of, you know, justified in holding on to it, right? So you've got to be open to, we will still use it. I was like, we're not getting rid of any of this. This is all gold, but we're going to repackage it, and we're going to message it and create offers that make sense. And I was kind of like, these offers should be separate. And like, one could have been her front end, actually. You know, with those clients who are interested in personal development or spirituality, but are about to go through a divorce and are worried about how to navigate that. And they want to do it in a way that is aligned to who they are spiritually, and then how they can transform from there. But there's different stages there where she wanted to put it all in. And that title, I still don't even, I don't even really understand that title, right? She's like, yes, so Divorce Holistically Yours means this. And I'm like, I don't get it. So now I just kind of say, well, people don't care. People aren't going to see that. No, people don't like that very much. But it is needed. It is going to save you time. And I don't want to, like I say, squash what you know innately, what your intuition is, or how you want to express yourself. That's where the archetype stuff we can revisit that too, to find things that work there. So like I said, peacefully end marriage. That's what they want to avoid, okay? You know, a few other, just to, you know, demonstrate, you don't have to be, you know, like this, you know, loud and
extroverted person, but I had a client back in 2013. It was a man, because when I was in a mastermind, I met a lot of men who hired me for marketing and Facebook and stuff, so that was kind of cool. And anyway, he came to me, just split up with his business partner, and he had this idea for creating a movement. Now this, oh my goodness, he's a leader through and through, and he had this real drive for the transformation, and talk about a passionate purpose. He had these videos and he's like, what are we going to do with this video? So like, let's get them out there. And I'd watch the videos. I was like, oh my goodness, this guy is a lot. And I truly believe he's actually a better speaker and leader than Tony Robbins. And you may not agree with his political leanings and all that kind of stuff. Like, it's a bit, white man America, but I love him. He's a great guy, but he's really full on. But he had this passionate purpose, and it was just trying to harness what that was. But he did understand messaging, which was about, finding that, galvanizing a bit of a movement. How could you bring together the smallest number of people who think like you, who have experienced what you've experienced, and you are passionate about getting them out of that? And he was very much that for married businessmen who were suffering in their marriage and their work. And in his marketing, he talked about, I know you're watching porn, and I know you've gone to prostitutes and you're doing cocaine and all this stuff. That ain't going to help you, brother. You've got to come and do the warrior's way. It was like certainly new and different, and certainly his maverick archetype there through and through, right? Doing different, like, here you go, this is, galvanize people. He's a bit of a hero too, actually. I would say he's maybe a hero maverick. I don't know. I'd have to have a look at that. He's really full on. And I did go to one of his events, God, talk about bloke fest, in 2019, because I just love him so much. And oh wow, he's such a great speaker. But yeah, it's for men, really, not women. Anyway, we had about 8 of us women in this whole room, and he walked on stage and he was like a rock star. It was like a Tony Robbins thing, because within that time, from 2013 to 2019, in 2019 he was making $17 million a year. So when he came to me, he wasn't making anything from this business. It was his idea, and I was helping him kind of birth it. And like I said, I can see that these can work. You can get there. You get lots of trial and error. But he jumped on stage and he saw me in the crowd, and he goes, Victoria Gibson, get up here now. This is the woman who did all my Facebook marketing, and she's amazing, and you need to hire her for your ads. And I'm like, no, these are my clients. Go to events where clients are, not where they're not. And so of course all these guys are like, hey, great, you did Carrot's ads, like, I'm gonna hire you. And I'm like, no thanks. Anyway, funny story. So I digress. Spotlight offer system difference. What is the distinction? The offer is going to be more in alignment with who you are by utilizing the branding with archetypes. We went into that yesterday, right? By the way, let me know your signature and your influencing archetypes if you're on live, or message me on Instagram and tell me what they are. I'm really curious. Anyway, we want to shift the selling to the offer and messaging part. So we want to focus there in order to do the heavy lifting for you. We want to really understand the gap, that not only the client that we're serving and what stage they're at, and I spoke a little bit about the nuance of where they can be at different stages, even though you don't think they are. And even in talking back about Jane, I don't think I closed the loop on that story, but she was like, yes, they don't have to leave. I'm going to teach, though, I'm going to create a coaching offer for those women. A lot of people, she was saying, but then, they're going to think that their company should pay for that, because she had that paradigm from doing executive trainings within corporates that companies did pay for it. But I'm like, no, if you can clearly articulate that problem that they're having better than they can, they will invest, because it is a painful problem that they're experiencing every day of how to solve their career career challenges and what they want to do. And then she was able to, she had a dream of having a mastermind and said, no, I possibly couldn't. I couldn't. She was starting to get clients, and then later on she sent me maybe a year or two, maybe it was 18 months later, she sent me a message saying, I know you're in workshop with the mastermind. She wasn't in my mastermind anymore. She'd moved on and finished her time in the year-long mastermind. And she sent me a message saying, I know you're with the mastermind girls, that's so cool, but I wanted to let you know that this month I've signed $90,000 in mastermind business. That was my big dream, and you helped me do it. And she did it, of course, but if she'd have stayed stuck in thinking about how she could sell more executive trainings,
she wouldn't have been able to do it. She wasn't the one determining this, you know, creating this competition-free offer. Like, it's basically a new category, okay? So you've got to be willing to drop some of those beliefs or what you cling tightly onto that isn't serving you, and sometimes you need someone to help you do that. References, terms, words, copy, everything. Having like you know, your own magic method or mechanism to consistently describe, being consistent in that promise too. Keep the scope narrow, okay? Wide isn't going to serve you as you grow your business. If you already have huge volume, this is still true. Like, after I was on Amy Porterfield's podcast once. I had a lot of people coming to me because my promise was that don't do an online course, just do a mastermind offer. And I still love that as an offer. It's my favorite kind of offer. But in terms of delivery, right? Mastermind doesn't sell itself because you say it's a mastermind. I see people doing that in their ads too, like selling, hey, you need a mastermind, so you need a mastermind. It's like, people don't want a mastermind either necessarily, although a lot of people say they do, but they don't. They want to solve their problem. They want what the mastermind will give them in terms of connection or relationships or experiences or fun or a legitimate reason to leave the kids at home and travel, all those kind of things, right? So that's what I was talking about with your offer too. Find those things that people really want. But definitely, I would still, have clients come to me who had lots of clients, and you know, that, or a broad message because they were doing low prices, high volume, but they were really miserable with that too, because you know, the people who pay the less ask for the most, definitely, and that can be really challenging as well. So know that yes, you can go broad and you can make money, but then you will hit a ceiling maybe in capacity if you're going high volume, unless you are someone with a huge profile. But even I've seen that with the authors who have huge profiles. Often their marketing, they haven't been able to translate you know, ongoing kind of monetization beyond selling their books or you know, getting their own TV show or those kind of bigger opportunities. But everybody has an opportunity now to be seen as a thought leader, have your book, all those kind of things. This messaging and offer creation will give you the roadmap to a book, gives you the roadmap to a webinar, it gives you the roadmap to a live session series, it gives you a roadmap to just even doing a YouTube channel, right? When you can dial that in, you know, I've got plenty of examples of that, but I'm not going to bore you because I've already gone over time. But whoops, went back the wrong way. So remember this: when you can describe the problem in the mind of your potential client better than they can, they will choose you. They will say yes, and there'll be very little friction. You won't have to have a complex funnel, and you won't have an offer that's harder to sell than it needs to be, okay? So I promise you stay to the end, get my free signature story method, a little guide there on mapping out your own story and how you want to convey that in some of your marketing, victoriagibson.com/signature. Watch some of the replays. It's not live quite yet, but it will be shortly, victoriagibson.com/replay. Come to the Facebook group, victoriagibson.com/group, and I go live in there as well. You can also get some coaching, ask questions, and I share some little bonuses in there that I don't always give to everyone, although bonuses are mainly reserved when you're on my list, which I'm sure you are already, and if not, make sure you are signed up to the challenge, victoriagibson.com/bootcamp. And get notified first on the next step. I want to make sure that you can go through these sessions first, and then I'm going to be maybe even doing another pop-up offer workshop too. So I'm going to only offer that to people who get on the wait list, okay? So go to victoriagibson.com/waitlist. If I've got some tech snafu there that your email address isn't going into, then do let me know and just message me on Instagram and I'll pop you on the wait list, okay? You're under no obligation to buy. It's not indicating that you're reserving your place in any paid programs whatsoever. It's just there to indicate that you'd be interested in hearing more of the details and maybe, you know, finding out more when it comes available. I'll give you that information before I give it to others, and I'll also invite you to a special, more of like an offer workshop where I can show a few more of these details. If you want to get coached, we can do yours, do some makeovers or brainstorming as well. So that is session 3. So that's the boot camp training, the live training, unless you want to come to the special bonus offer workshop. And I want you to go through this and really be thinking about it, and come to me in the group, come to me on Instagram and ask your questions, particularly while we've got this boot camp up and running. The replays will be coming down next Friday, so they're up for a little while, but they will be coming down, so I'll be letting you know when they do. So make sure you go through them. I know that some of you on live here, I love that some of you have come to all 3 sessions, so shout out there to you guys. Thank you so much for that. I really do appreciate it. It means the world to me. Your time and attention are much appreciated, because it validates all the work and the passion that I have. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. And I want you to have a lovely Easter, or however you like to celebrate the rest of your week. And I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm here. I'm going to be coming up with even some more workbooks and workshop and this offer. Okay, so if you've got ideas about the things that you would like to see as well, please let me know. Drop me a line on Insta. I'd love to hear what perhaps you most want relieved. What's your pain point? What could be that pain killer over vitamin, right? Like a lot of us in the transformation and coaching space are selling vitamins, like this is really good for your health, this is what you should be doing, when really they just need a Panadol and a lie down. They need a painkiller offer, right? Without manipulation. We don't need manipulation. Yes, we can weave in proven principles of psychology, but we don't need manipulation. Okay, anyway, I have loved seeing you. Yes, have a lovely weekend, Laura, too. Thank you. My pleasure about the time. Okay, good. You want to be, I'm sure you want to be on there, my love. I'm popping you on there, and make sure that you're on the list, and I'll be sending out information there. Wonderful. All right, my loves, take care. Bye-bye.